because if you look, this person is working in every field under the sun. And if you look in terms of collaboration, he doesn't collaborate much. And then, if you look by institution that he collaborates with, there's not much. And if you look at the field, people who cite him, everything under the sun. But you look at citation by institution, there's nothing. There's nothing, not that many decent university. And similarly, here is a person who pre-2004 does not have any citation. Nobody cites his work. Nobody cites his work. And recently, has been announced as one of the top 3 researchers in the country. Top 3 researchers in the country. So, anyway, this is mine. Not very good, just 16,802, not that many citations. But if you look at the field, I don't work in that many fields. Basically, I'm a chemist. I do publish my crystal structure. This is the outcome of my last sabbatical in France, where I did protein crystallography actually. So happened protein crystallography is classified under molecular biochemistry. And this is my collaboration. These are the universities I collaborate with, but what is more important, you look at the number of citations. If you do crystallography far away, you see chemistry gets cited better than crystallography. But look at the collaboration, even though the numbers are not there, those who cite my work, these citing articles, meaning those who cite my work, they come from this country, but what is more important, from which institution? Those who cite your work, which institution? Forget the first 3. USM is self-citation. Multimedia, I was there for 3 years. But look at University of Western Australia, Cambridge, North Texas, British Columbia, Hong Kong, CNRS in France, National University of Singapore, London, Turin, Lund, Australian National University. So, what I want to stress is, look below the numbers and look at in terms of citing, even in 88, which is a year after I finished my PhD. When some people, when they were 60, they start to get citation. So they're playing the game. And this is quite constant. And this is what I'm talking about, this predatory publishers. It's now on the increase. You look at the increase, it's crazy. Number of publishers, these are predatory publishers. You look at 2011, there were only 18. This year alone, there's now 477 predatory publishers. So, send your paper to the established journals, not to all these journals where you have to pay, and even standalone, where they are published by individuals. We have a publisher run by some international student in Penang, and professors in Malaysia are sending their papers there. So be careful. Even standalone journals, there are many around the place. I just want to put quickly 3 cases of misconduct in relation to publications. One is lost in translation, whereby a professor, out of 15 chapters in a book, actually 13, 11 were direct translation from a 1960 English textbook. And I thought the other 2 was genuine. It's still not genuine, translated from journal. However, no disciplinary action was taken regarding this misconduct. Was allowed to teach, but however he was not allowed to deliver his professor lecture, but still retired as a professor. Case 2, whereby a professor plagiarized a PhD student's research proposal. Plagiarized, got a grant, and his stolen proposal was awarded the research grant. He was buying, however, the student's name was nowhere in the grant. So in the end, he got only a verbal warning. Everyone lived happily ever after except the student who wrote the proposal. And the third case involves a lecturer who borrowed another lecturer's student's final year project thesis, published the work, but put the lecturer's name down. So So the what in this case the co-author, the student supervisor is the one that's complaining. So in the end, the supervisor reported this to the university, but because the lecturer was under probation, his contract was not renewed. But lessons from the case is that many academics, because in pursuit of publication, a lot of them actually cut corners. A lot of them cut corners. So when you look at impact factors of journal, be careful. You know, sometimes it doesn't mean much, and some journals, I quote you Acta Crystallography A. For 1 year, Acta Crys, the impact factor is always around 2, but for 1 year it shot up to 48. Only because of one paper. Because you must understand the formula for impact factor. The last 3 years, divide by the papers. So it shot up to 48, second year went down to 24, and later on went back to 2. So, see, you published in that year doesn't mean your paper is impact factor 48. You know, so always understand what impact factor is about, because there's a lot of myths about it. You know, there's a lot of myths about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Final presentations by Suti.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon. I think first of all we need to do some correction. The title of my presentation in the abstract book is Engaging Community. I think we had enough engagement with community. Engaging universities is actually community engagement. The title of the paper should be Community Engagement. So, so for today, I'd like to share with you some reflection only. This is not a study, but basically a concern, regarding community engagement. And community engagement has been the new thing now in the university. It's not supposed to be the new thing, but it's an in thing now in the university, right? Especially in the last 5 years. So as someone who has been trained in community development, community work, and who has been actively engaging with the community through NGOs and all that, you just get concerned about where and how the university directed this whole idea of community engagement. Basically, I do not know, maybe now there are more universities that have got a community engagement program, but from 2007, the government has directed 4 research universities to get into community engagement agenda, And I think up to date, all these universities are still determining the direction and trying to conceptualize what community engagement that they are trying to do. And yet we still do not have, after 5 years, any university that measures the impact of their work or the policies that they have come up with. So we all know that all these, at least all these 4 research universities, they are DVCs of community engagement, the DVCs, right? the literatures, I think if you actually go through the literatures, and basically when we talk about community engagement, there's three regions that is always referred to. The American models of community engagement, the Australian model of community engagement, and the European, the UK's model of community engagement. But interestingly, at the same time, while the university was directed to look into the community engagement agenda, we noticed the Global University Network, or is now called GUNI, the Global University Network integration, also at the same time was trying to get the academics to relook and rethink about what community engagement is all about. Now to start with, this is my own classification. Yeah. First of all, there is a classification of that those academics or academicians who consider the community engagement as a natural element of academy. I think many of our colleagues have mentioned this now, from the first one, from solidarity to the end, that people must must be engaged in the community. Because basically, when the university first started in Europe and all that, it's the whole idea of saving the souls of the society, because they know little or they're so ignorant, But basically now we are talking about the intellectual should have basic conscience, of understanding what society is all about. Quoted from Albert Stein that says that intellectual by right should be the one who should be able to denounce corruption, defend or defy imperfect or oppressive authority. Basically, in other words, the academician should be people, a group of people who are willing to speak up, for the sake of the society. Or another way to put it is to actually say that the academicians are the one who become the public voices that change to promote the public change and also promote the public well-being. These are you will find a group of academicians that actually rethink about this. Not rethink, I think this basically when they talk about community engagement, they believe this is the style of engagement that it should be, because it should not be something that imposed on you, but it's naturally grown, because the academicians take it as their responsibility. Now, in the last two decades of the 20th century, you notice there's a lot of debate about universities being disconnected from the society. And this is also seen as another approach why community engagement was raised in the 21st century. Basically because the university, the academician is seen as disconnected from society. Because the university are busy focusing at producing middle class professionals that are really looking into themselves. While I support Sharifa's, idea of, promotions and all that, but it's also worrying because if you join the university and the first thing that comes to your mind is, when will I get promoted? I think that be, some kind of, concern, if you start going into university and just keep looking at that. But that's the reality. You have to see how you progress in the university. But the first inductee program, to me, should not be on promotion. It should be like understanding the meaning of university. It's, looking at how you should become a part of the whole community, right? And also, we're busy at catching up with international players, So in the last few decades, we heard about Malaysia University Bertaraf Dunia, right? So we all want to become University Bertaraf Dunia, catching up with Harvard, catching up with that, and forget about what the society really wants from us, And are we really doing things for the society, yeah? And there are many academicians who question the scholarship of community engagement, because this is not research, because you just work with the community. I mean, what is the value of that? So there are groups of academicians that start questioning the scholarship of community engagement. And many also, especially among the scientists, who see the public as only a passive participant to advancements of knowledge, because they are quite ignorant in the science. You cannot talk to them. They are just compliant group of people, group of participants. you know. And I think many scientists, hard scientists especially, where is Omar? He's not here. We still see the public as just the, you know, that you are still there. We see public as still as, you know, a passive participant. But if you look at the science shop, if any of you are familiar with the science shop as a process of community engagement, basically when science shops first started in France, if I'm not mistaken, or in Germany, sorry, you know, the idea was actually to get the public to understand science and to look into it and to believe in it and to take part in science, you know. But, you know, that is the process they have gone through. And of course, there are a group of academics who believe in academic purism, you know, academia for academia, you know, I mean academic for the sake of knowledge only, but not, you know, so this is where you just, you know, philosophize, or you actually study. There's nothing wrong with that too. If you're doing physics theory and all that, and you keep looking at the skies and all that, you know, if other people can make use of that knowledge, you know, it doesn't mean that every one of us, you know, must be there on the ground. But we should understand what the basic idea of community engagement. Now, recently, when you look at Malaysian models, when you look at when we talk about community engagement, we seem to be looking more at the CSR model. I think sometimes this is the danger of being influenced with the idea of being corporate, you know, looking at the corporate culture. So the university is trying to play the same game as the corporate sector, you know, trying to put up an image of a corporate sector. So they actually place the whole, you know, the whole idea of community engagement as civic responsibility. So what happened to that? You know, if you read the write-up by Hollister on UKM, and if you read USM, I didn't get to read UM and UPM. You know, I was looking for that, and I couldn't get any write-up on UKM, the UM and UPM's models of community engagement. Now, they have the right values. They have the right values, both USM and UKM, for example. But when you look at the actual work done, the actual activities, it's really more towards CSR, you know. It's more towards CSR model. So if you have the time to actually look into that. Now again, community engagement in the university at international level has been encouraged by, at least by the UNESCO's and, you know, by general model of social accountability just now that sort of Rosalie mentioned, and also, you know, by GUNI and the Global University Network to acknowledge community as providers and source of knowledge itself. Yeah. So there are different approaches towards community engagement. Now, the idea why we have to look into the approaches because it gives a framework of how the university is going to move on in the activities of community engagement. There are several issues at the moment, as you know, I can observe, and as you know, I go through the whole literature. First of all, the idea of community engagement is not really spelled out in the university fundamental frame of references. So if you talk about community engagement as, you know, your responsibility, you know, to provide, promote knowledge, and at the same time acknowledging the importance of the society, the needs of the society, and actually taking the society as your partners in promotion of knowledge, then it has to be spelled out throughout. Okay, 5 more minutes. All right, thank you. You know, and at the same time, we notice that different institutions has different ideas about community engagement. Maybe this is still in early days, but perhaps for many of us who have been academic activities or, you know, have been involved in communities itself, should actually take part in this whole dialogue of community engagement at our university level. And we do not train enough staff of the university, for example, to have skill in facilitating dialogue in the community, in conflict resolution in the community, or even developing policy in the community. A lot of us do research, and that research is supposed to contribute to policy development, but we are not having enough skill to promote that research into the level of policy development. And so that research can be understood by the policymakers, other stakeholders, as well as the society, you know. And we do not have the practice of, you know, disseminating our result, first of all, to the community. Many of us were worried about writing to the journal first, rather than talking to the community and get them to respond to our research. So there is a different ways of looking at these things, yeah? So I think depends on the university's approach, okay? And then the readiness of the non-academic structure of the universities to support community engagement. I know I joined the BGM, was trying to understand what BGM is all about, and the whole frustration of my colleagues of dealing with non-academic structure. People have rulings, okay, you have these activities, tak boleh beli makanan, tak boleh beli hadiah untuk kanak-kanak, tak boleh, all these activities, all this ruling, it actually doesn't make sense. So why are you having BGM? So they are controlling the money in the different ways, in different meaning, in different, totally the opposite of the idea of the community engagement. And of course, at the university, people who are called advocates or radicals like Omar Shafqat-Sali, the public voices and all that, the critics are not well appreciated. So you then actually allow the university to popularize a different style of community engagement. People who actually just, to be a community like ministers, you think of all those activities like Rayakan, Ibu Tunggal, Galakan, it's very worrying. It's very, very, very well-furnished mind, in our community engagement. So I think that is something for us to look at. I like to quote Tandon, which he says, Tandon is one of the promoter of Guni and also, still the strong person there. Inside universities, many more changes are needed. A lot of analytical reflection and the curriculum. Whether we actually involve, when we talk about community engagement, whether we look into our curriculum, does it, does the curriculum take into consideration the whole context of the society and the local society itself, or the immediate society, or the general community in Malaysia? The internal incentive structure of professors and researchers must include civic engagement. Now, I sometimes think that the leadership read this differently, because recently I heard from the Vice Chancellor that maybe each professor must have their own community to prove that this is community engagement, and therefore we will promote you to professorship. And I think, okay, this is really quite confusing, okay? But anyway, I'm sure my time has gone through the 3 minutes. I just want to raise the whole question of uncertainties in university. If the university want to promote community engagement, and I think there's a lot of issues that university has to resolve. I think our colleagues, the 4 or 5 colleagues just now has mentioned this again and again. Whether we really need to control academician if you want to really do a right, proper community engagement. Do you need to change the mindset of academic leaderships when the leaderships are the one who actually just being proposed by people outside the university? Now, how do you promote this idea of community engagement? Rewarding knowledge, giving space to people with knowledge, not people with power to abuse knowledge. And this is, I think, something that we must look at. Okay, and again, I repeat it. Radicalism, dissent, and advocacy is always frowned upon in the university. Right? Okay, so if we need to promote, to sustain community engagement, therefore the freedom of expression, what Saudara Rose has mentioned from very beginning, freedom of association, knowledge and innovation, practice of inclusiveness, and all this must be there, and we have to mainstream community engagement throughout the university. Okay, thanks, thank you. In conclusion, genuine community engagement is to be encouraged, and the foundation of community engagement must be improved and promoted. But I believe in consultation and dialogue within the university and the community regarding genuine community engagement must take place now, before we continue to do our community engagement in the next 5 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We've got about 20 minutes to discuss issues such as freedom, rate blocking, promotion, impact factors, community engagement. Lots of things to discuss, so I won't waste the time. So I'll take the questions now, and then we'll see what answers. 3 questions first. Right. Yeah.
One of the presenters, I think the one on conducting the promotion and promotion. Yes. Yeah. When you put the indicator of social network, you look at professional association.
this is such a great fresh air for me to learn from my colleagues in Malaysia about the state of universities. I come from a public university,
Which
so
one is
University of the
that?
Philippines.
Yeah.
So this is, its public character is constantly being eroded by the thrust towards neoliberalism, privatization, corporatization. So I was wondering how my colleagues here have raised very hard questions about the direction of Malaysian universities vis-a-vis promotion, publication, and then community engagement. Relate all these phenomena with the erosion of the public character of public universities in Malaysia. And it's linked to neoliberalism, as our keynote speaker presented yesterday, Malaysia 2020, is all still anchored in neoliberalism. Is that correct? So, I think just some thoughts about how these are connected, the issues raised and the ongoing erosion of the public character and the public service character of our university.
Thank you.
Could I ask to clarify, so when promotion of Kumbasa and lectures of that, I'm just wondering for the time base you mentioned of Kumbasa, is this a time base that you equate to the one who is school, or is it different kind of?
Yes, yes. It is consistent with the teacher scheme.
Right, if I may share with you, it's like in the UKM, it's the Google is a university, they do not share the same scheme in a way with the Google school. Just merely because the ones in university, they do not have that general pendidikan pegawai peribadaran siswaza or something. Pegawai pendidikan peribadaran siswaza. So therefore, the scheme for Guru in university is flexi. So it goes according to the kecenderungan individu as well. And the time base is based on time that you spend in your grades, credit grade, as well as your merit. Yeah? So that will go back to, I think the Prof mentioned about when you work at the juniors, when you see promotion, when you see the meaningful role of your position in the university. Just to share with you.
I think I'd like to ask a general question, nothing to do with self-promotion or status in universities. If the four presenters, or three, were to pinpoint, if we want to change something in social science, we can think about changing the structure, such as the structure of the university. One good example would be the Malaysian social structure before Dasar Ekonomi Baru. Dasar Ekonomi NEP or DEB tries to change the Malaysian structure, hoping that the values will come along once the structure is changed. So the changing values of different ethnic groups might change if you change the structure, meaning the structure of opportunities, the structure of economic development, that structures, and then therefore there may be some values might change. Or you change the values first, the debate goes on, you change the values first, then once community values are changed, then they may change the structure. So if the three of you or the four of you were given this question, given the structures we live under, where there is political interference, there is lack of freedom, these are structures that bind us, and there are values also, our values can be quite feudal. Let's admit that, regardless of the structures. So which ones do you think we ought to be, given that we have limited capacity to change, and we are all individuals who are very concerned but very limited time and limited power, what do you think would be the issues that we need to get going first? Is it the structure that we need to change? If so, what specific aspects of the academic structure? Because you've given thought to this, and these are very welcoming ideas for us. Because, and I didn't realize there was such a movement. For example, we're sure going to join this after this. But so yeah. So what two aspects of the structure do you think we should be focusing on if you were trying to change this situation?
Can I just respond? Actually, my own personal feeling does not matter what structure we adopt. What is more important is the values. Especially
See, there's a debate, ongoing debate,
yeah,
whether you
it's an
change the
ongoing
structure of
debate.
the
But in
values.
academia,
Yeah.
we talk in academia, the academic values, especially with regard to ethics and all, is something I think we have to focus on, especially now. The present scenario in academia with regard to, being from the association point of view, say 25, 30 years ago, in our meetings, in all the associations, we seldom talk about salary or promotion. We talk about academic freedom, academic environment, But today, almost every meeting when we get together, we talk about promotion and salary. This is, I think, something that is very serious. That the younger generation, I don't blame them, because the academic profession has actually deteriorated in terms of quality of living. Let me just give a quick example. See, in the late 70s, university lecturer, a salary of about 1,000 with PhD, can get a car loan for 12,000 ringgit. This is a public university, I'm talking about public university. Car loan 12,000 ringgit, housing loan 40,000 ringgit. But with 12,000 ringgit, that particular academic staff can take out a brand new Volvo. And in Penang, that academic staff can buy a double-story bungalow. Okay? Today, what Madam was saying, 7,000, a fresh PhD, and you have a car loan of 45,000, housing loan of 400,000 ringgit. With 45,000 ringgit, you can't even get 1/4 of a Volvo. And with 400,000 ringgit housing loan in Penang Island, you cannot even get a single-story terrace house. So,
Is that the main concern in
no,
academia
because
now?
the status of an academic, you spend 23 years of your life to get a PhD, and you are, you are actually poor in certain ways because the buying power of your salary is no more there. Those days we can afford to go for conference on our own pocket money. Nowadays, if the university doesn't fund, most young researchers will not go. Because conferences are not cheap. Even this one is not cheap. So, I think what is important is the value. We must instill in the younger academic the ethical value.
And what is, sorry, I don't get it. What
Because if
value
you change
do
the
you
structure, nothing will
think? In this
change.
case, what value are we talking about? I'm sorry.
Honesty, values of,
Money.
not just money, I don't agree with money, but honesty and then the passion to teach, to impart knowledge, integrity, these values are very, very important. There's a lot of empathy today, a lot of empathy. I think most associations will say if we have our annual general meeting, I have to stand by the road and stop people and just sign their attendance. We can't even get the quorum. For the association annual general meeting, there's a lot of empathy among academics.
That's community engagement. Stopping there.
Well,
from their sleep consciousness or false consciousness. But when they gain the knowledge, they wake up. When they wake up, this impacts the political interest in the area. So how is it you say community
So you need to change the structure of the university then.
Yeah.
And you don't know how does that damage if you create consciousness.
Yeah.
I mean, there's steps when we talk about community engagement. You inform the community, you consult them.
Yeah.
You know, the last part
Yeah.
is you empower them.
Yeah.
It's the process of community
Yeah.
engagement. Right? So if they wake up and they actually question, and they start to change political parties, they
Oh,
want to
yeah.
go one party, you know.
Selangor pun.
With that lecturer who promote this idea.
Yeah.
Is that what you say, that lecturer who promoted
So-
this whole,
Yeah.
development in that
So also that
consciousness,
question-
to raise the consciousness of the community, would they get punished?
Yeah, that question also invites.
I don't mind that punishment.
Yeah, that's right, that's right. So it also invites the question of changing the university structure that punishes you for changing the university. The structure of the university has to be changed.
That's what my question.
If they punishes you,
Yeah.
if it punishes you because you're doing good things, so it has to change. The structure of the university has
But
to
this
change.
is exactly what's happening.
That's our intention.
Yeah.
But how is it the other
Yeah,
side?
actually, this is what is happening now, because then people will not want to take part in the community, they
How to
just.
balance it? My question, how to balance it?
No,
We
it's,
cannot do it. We cannot balance it. We have to change it.
There's another commentator there. Yeah, go.
okay.
One way of looking at the ranking system is that it is an indicator of where we stand at any particular time, meaning in the university. But you can also look at this ranking thing as a structure that is imposed on us. It's a structure of power from the institutions that will dictate to us the yardstick, the criterion, the language that is to be used, and the values that we expect a good quality publication should be. And we are left with complying with being forced to comply with all these conditions and to do. We will be pushed by our own management university to produce something that will in fact enrich the pockets of the institutions that publish our publications, if you know what I mean. I'm talking about the domination. I'm talking about structures of power that dominate us, that we have to do this. And on top of that, our own university is pushing us from pillar to post to do this. So they are in fact complicit, and we are the imprisoned beings that have got to struggle. Our values might be different, our priorities might be different, our skills might be different, and all those are specific to our conditions, to our society, but this might not be a criterion that the power that be in the institutional power might require us to produce.
Can I just, I think I'd like to respond to what Professor Zahid and Professor Fazila was saying about structure just now. I think we have, can I just give an example of AUKU? Now in AUKU, you can see there's a clause there on meritocracy. Pengambilan pelajar and pengambilan staff must be on the basis of meritocracy, means irrespective of race and religion and whatever belief. And recently, UNIMAS has signed the autonomy document, penganugerahan autonomy, which again reinforce that the element of meritocracy, pengambilan staff and student must be on the value of meritocracy, irrespective of race, religion, and beliefs. Although although we have that structure has been allow a more egalitarian in some ways, the reality on the ground is much more difficult than that. Much more difficult than that. We hired me, and then they will question, okay, you have to sort of balance out with this race and this, and with student intake as well. So this is why we say, structure has already said, our code said, you can do that. But university authority says, we worry about political implication. So this is where we find it, we do this to ourselves, actually. When the law has given us the right to do so, to do what is best for us, we take our own precaution. And this is why we find it...
Can I say something? You know, not as a chair, but I've heard quite a lot of this, and I agree with some of the stuff that's been said, but in many ways, I think we are responsible. And so when you say we should be doing it, but we don't. Many of us don't. Right? I mean, look at the case of the professor in when he was not renewed, so to speak. Where was the uproar? Well, where's the uproar where Qasim Ahmad is concerned, for example? I mean, an academic in many sense, right? Where's the academic uproar? That's, and I think something about us, maybe it's our socialization all this time, our acceptance of the rules and the laws that are not necessarily fair, but we are either fearful, we are full of self-interest, possibly, but I think we can't just, yes, there are those controls there, but I think our job is to test those controls, right? I think some of us do it, some of us don't, and I think that unless we start doing it together, nothing's going to change. I think the examples given by the 5 academics, the senior academics, whom I totally respect, illustrate all those different aspects, from the brain drain, from promotions, from freedom. I think that if we put them all together, somehow we got to start thinking. If you believe there is a crisis, some of us don't even, like I said, don't even believe there is a crisis in Malaysian universities. That is a major problem already. The majority don't feel there is a crisis, and we don't care as long as you get, 1 month, what do you call it, bonus a year. If that's a big concern, then there is a real problem, I think. Okay, so thank you.
I think there is a crisis. Day by day. I think university crisis of leadership, one thing. But if you check, what we need to do currently is to increase the democratic space that we have. It's not that we don't have it. We just have to expand it. And despite the output, I mean, we did try very hard. It took us 25 years to change the output until the 2010 amendment. Because partly crowd took actively involved. Of course, we want to throw away the output, but finally there was a compromise that either you get the whole output or just adopt some amendment. So the recent amendment, except for section 15 for the student, where the power of the minister goes to the vice chancellor, there is some rooms already. For example, when the whole council is being converted to the board of governors, the board of directors, now we call board of governors. And there's some room, there's some representative already there. But I think when you appoint mediocre or poor leaders in the university, because none of the university leaders now dare to defend the universities.
Yeah, yes.
Even academic or student are being blamed, harassed by police, harassed by politicians. None of them came to defend the university. That's why I was wondering what's happened to the university. If you are being appointed on merit, surely you defend. You don't mind losing the vice chancellorship, and yet you still are a professor there. But not, of course, you get a ding dong or Mickey Mouse vice chancellor around. I mean, I knew a few of the vice chancellor, and of course, some of them were in the GRA or also in our staff association. I mean, we can name up to 5 of them who we knew them. But of course, when you took the other side, you get promoted because you know the trick. Okay, go ahead. Okay, sorry. last comment.
No, it's just interesting issue that Manan has brought up. On the one hand, we've seen a lot of very structural and issues that are very that has a very long life, and yet at the same time, just the point that you raised is it's not a structural issue; it's more individual choices. So if we are, if it is already very difficult to break down the walls of change or walls of resistance against change, it is perhaps even more difficult to have leaders who are actually of a stature and who are able to resist the temptations of power.
I think it's the opposite. No, I mean, of course, you have the current structure, but of course, in this neoliberal society, of course, you cannot have change the superstructure right away. But if you have, I think, if you have a lot of leaders in the university, surely you can change the structure, because when they share the common problem regarding, for example, the autonomy of the university and academic freedom and autonomy, those are the two, and academic leadership. If these three things can be handled together, I think slowly you can break up the structure. And of course, there are many other international pressure, all this corporatization, KPI, quality, and all those things. So I think we allow ourselves to be used.
Okay, we have to end this. It's been an exciting, interesting sort of afternoon.
Membership forms, are you distributing them?
Correct, the membership form. and the PSSM membership forms are also there. Anyway, thank you very much. Thank you for
Others are interested to have their membership form.